All right, let's do something fun. What we like to do here at Startups.com is take a look at the startup ecosystem as a whole. And Q, our producer, is running around looking for different cool articles, stuff to have hot takes on. And she's got something loaded up for us. Q, what are we talking about today?
I do. So today we have a really fun one on our hands. It's about Colin Kaepernick losing control of his story. He was known for his NFL career and his activism against racial injustice. So I guess he's recently shifted his focus to creating Lumi after facing challenges in traditional publishing. What's Lumi, you might ask? Lumi is an AI-driven platform that helps creators, especially in comics and graphic novels, specifically manga, by handling the business side of publishing. It makes storytelling more accessible. So he's currently backed by $4 million in funding, and Lumi aims to support diverse and marginalized voices, and that reflects Kaepernick's commitment to social justice. What do you guys think?
Colin Kaepernick. For those of you who don't know, let's take a look at he's a beautiful man. I think he's a beautiful man. Great hair. You know, when he was slinging footballs for the San Francisco 49ers, he was a revelation to watch. I really enjoyed Colin Kaepernick. He did a great job. I'm a big football fan, so I was a fan. Yeah, I remember watching the Super Bowl with him in it. Now, something occurred where football, there's a shelf life for football. Let me put my startup hat on. So as a football fan, I put my football hat on and I say, Colin Kaepernick, I wish him the best. I hope he does great. Obviously, he's been embroiled in controversy here and there, but that's okay. Everybody has a right to go out and try and make it, and he's entrepreneurial, and I can totally appreciate that. What I would say, putting on my startup investor hat, my advisor, founder hat, my biggest issue with this story, because I was a comic book artist, and I actually did do a startup in the comic book space where we were looking at manga artists and we were looking at anime. My biggest issue is, where is the domain expertise? I would say, Colin, Mr. Kaepernick, however you want to be addressed, if you came to me with a startup about football or about getting sponsorships from Nike, different things that were right up your alley, I would say to myself, okay, now he's got something. I've never seen you work with manga artists. I've never seen you work with AI. I've never seen you in media. You don't have your own YouTube channel. You're not a creator. You don't know, and you're coming and saying it. You can solve problems for this industry. That's my first issue. My second issue is the focus on this whole entire social justice, underrepresented demographics. And I want to be careful here. Let me say that I believe that underrepresented, underestimated, and underserved populations are amazing in terms of opportunity. And that when it comes to our minority founders, our underrepresented founders, they are so valuable because why? Not because, guess what, based on the color of your skin or based on your background, that you deserve something, but because these founders bring in, and there's so many stories, they bring in a different perspective from a different market that is different than me as someone who looks like me, who is born and raised in Canada, Korean, you name it, all those dimensions. They will have a different perspective, as I will have a different perspective. My question to Colin is, what perspective are you bringing in? Because it goes back to domain expertise. Now, maybe Colin Kaepernick has got an army of manga artists that he's been talking with, and he's got a great community, and I'm not seeing something. But here's my big issue. If you say I'm focused on this minority customer, that to me is a mistake, because you don't know if that is what's going to work, and you may be doing an experiment, going out there and putting it out there in the press. It's just been proven over and over again that's very difficult to start with a demographic of people. Start instead with a problem that a set of users have. I'd much rather see someone say, Ed, there are 100 million manga and comic book artists in the world that you don't know of, and they all have this problem, and AI could fix that. Then I'd be interested. But if you say, all right, I'm going to do something that seems to be out of your domain expertise, and furthermore, I'm going to make it harder for myself to focus on a minority, I'm having issues with that, because investors aren't going to want to invest in that. They want the big TAM. So I'd rather see you do something for everybody and then provide wonderful opportunities, equal opportunity for everybody, especially those that have been marginalized or don't have access the same way. Go out and make it easier for them. 100%. But solve an industry problem, not do something because I get to look like I'm doing something in social justice, which I understand. There are many startups that do social justice. I'm not in that camp. I would rather see you build a $1 billion company and then give all your money away, instead of going around and saying, guess what? I need you to give me $1 billion so I can give $1 billion away. It doesn't quite work that way, especially if you're talking with startup investors. I saw a comment come through the chat here. All right. Well, okay. Seems like domain expertise is super important if founders are coming from the bottom of the same market and know it by heart. 100%. Let's back off and let's use this as a launching pad from Colin Kaepernick. I'm going to get back to the Cap in just a moment here. I don't know if that's what you call him. Just Cap? Is that
Just
how?
Cap.
Okay. Do you know Colin Kaepernick? Have you crossed paths with him?
No, but I assure you, if I did, I would remember it and I would definitely tell you.
Just letting everybody know, like, Q is kind of semi-famous and has surrounded herself, and she's been in those type of circles. So I never want to take for granted that you met him at a party. Let's talk about domain expertise for a moment. The reason I need domain expertise is because ultimately, as an investor, I invest in founders. And you might have come up with the greatest idea in the world, but ideas are worthless unless you can execute against them. And if you have domain expertise, you set yourself apart. If you came to me and pitched me a solution, I thought, oh, this is fantastic. But then 5 other founding teams, 5 other startups pitched me the same thing. And it was pretty much, you're all going to solve the problem, maybe a little bit differently. How am I going to make the decision where to chunk my money? I'm not going to put it in all 5 startups. I'm going to decide through due diligence, my research, getting to know the founders, which horse I want to bet on. So what do? I go and I look at the team. Does the team have domain expertise? Meaning, have you worked on the problem in the past? Do you have an exceptional track record or a unique insight because of your experience that other people don't know? For example, if you were part of the team that took Google IPO and you knew all about that, and then you saw all the issues in Google as they become a public company, they become Alphabet, and you saw some inefficiencies and you say, Google will never be able to solve this problem. And you left Google and you came to me and you said, I got a solution. And I said, what about Google? And you said, I worked at Google for the last 10 years, took them IPO. I see something that they're missing. They're never going to do that, and I can build it because I know how to build a company like Google. Well, that's domain expertise. So the more that you can stack it. Now, let's say you're a Nobel Prize winner, and Colin Kaepernick has domain expertise in football. Like, again, if he had like a training app for football players, or if he even had an app that allowed marginalized people to get football tryouts, I'd even be interested in looking at something like that because scouts are looking for that diamond in the rough. He comes to me and says, I can help manga artists use AI to become creators. I'd be like, I don't see the domain expertise. I'm getting back to this right now. That is the domain expertise in the past. Now, let's say you don't have it. Go out and get domain expertise. Go volunteer, intern, or another way you show domain expertise is you talk to users. I have seen a general partner for a fund invest in a startup pre-product, pre-revenue. And I wondered, why would this person invest? They seem pretty savvy. And she said, I invested because he talked to 1,000 B2B customers. 1,000 B2C customers is easy. Do you know how hard it is to talk to 1,000 B2B customers? And she said, not only that, he was able to get them to all agree on pricing. Maybe not all, but they agreed on pricing. And this founder could chart a path of all the opportunities that they had missed or that the industry was missing, all the incumbents, and therefore he got a pre-seed check, even though they're kind of like seed investors. Super fascinating story. So if you don't have the past domain expertise, like you didn't win a Nobel Prize, an Academy Award, or you worked at a big Fortune 100 company, or you took a company public before, you've been VC backed, go out and get the domain expertise so you can look the investor in the eye when they're beating you over the head with competition, and you can say, hey, I know something they don't know, and here's how I learned it. Here are the logos on my pitch deck of all the companies that I've talked to. Then you are sitting gold and you are off to the races. Now let's get back to Colin Kaepernick. There are so many things that we don't know what's going on in the story. I'm venturing to say that the people who forked over $4 million are believing that he's going to be enough of a celebrity to give that startup a lift. There's one other thing. Let's ask this question. Q and Jen, what AI tools do you use right now?
There's a given one that both of us use. Jen, go ahead.
ChatGPT,
right? In fact, I say if you're not using ChatGPT, like that is the main thing, then you are not working for me. Like that's just the reality. If you don't know how to use ChatGPT, you don't work on my team. But have you used any other AI tools? This is a thing. It's okay if you haven't, but I'm asking this question. And yes, well, in the chat there, I use combination of Midjourney and ChatGPT for all my images. Hugh, Jen, any other tools that you use? I'm using this as an example.
Yeah.
For those of you watching, when you're watching this, I've just demonstrated we are startup people. We're savvy. Yet I only use ChatGPT. I use Midjourney. I use a few other I use a few other tools that help me do some quick editing. I own Adobe, and this came through chat as well, Adobe, Firefly, and Express. I pay for the full Adobe, but because I'm a trained artist, I don't use the AI. I use Midjourney, and then I bring in a Photoshop. And I don't use the AI in Photoshop. And I know everybody's competing, but ChatGPT has won my heart. ChatGPT has received billions of dollars of funding. And there's a really interesting tweet that I saw, a tweet, or whatever you call those. What do you call tweets now on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter? What do they call you?
Good question.
I saw a tweet, and there was salary information that came out from Microsoft, and the astronomical difference that companies are now paying AI engineers versus regular engineers is just crazy because everyone's rushing to that. So let's go back to Colin Kaepernick for a second. If OpenAI received billions of dollars of funding, I think the last round they'd received like $30 billion, and they hired all these engineers and they got this entire team and they've captured my heart, and I don't use anything else anymore. And Colin Kaepernick comes in and says, hey, Ed, it's a great tool that'll build all your comic book content for you. And he's only spent $4 million. How good could that tool possibly be? That to me is an issue. Now, let me just clarify. He might be building on he might actually be building a container around another AI, which remains to be seen. But even still, $4 million, he better have one hell of an MVP going, and he should have some unique insight. Mr. Colin Kaepernick, if you're watching this, reach out to us. We'd love to have you come on board and do an AMA at Startups.com and make you an honorary member. But I hope you prove me wrong. I hope you've got a unique insight, a secret up your sleeve, and you blow us all away because many founders have done that. And to me, I think that's fantastic, and we need founders that do that. But right now, with the money that is headed to other companies, Elon Musk hasn't even sold anything yet with his AI. These companies don't have any revenue whatsoever, and they're raising massive amounts of money. Elon Musk company raised $6 billion right out of the gate, first round. Now, mind you, it is Elon Musk, so, okay, that's domain expertise right there. But if you only have $4 million, your chances in AI right now are marginal compared to the big companies. If you're trying to build a main engine like a Midjourney, look at Midjourney. Look how much they're funded. Look at all those other, look at Llama that's creeping up there. I'm actually interested in using Llama. That's backed by Facebook. Billions of dollars right there. Unless you've got something that's truly special, you're going to have to work around or work with the current AI tools. You're not going to be able to compete. Unless you've got someone with domain expertise, an AI data scientist that left OpenAI. A lot of are leaving OpenAI right now, and they're starting their own companies. I get it. That's great. The money will be there because it is the Wild West, and the winner is going to be worth trillions of dollars. Go for it. Not buy game right now. If you're out there thinking about doing an AI startup, you should really talk to us about it and consider your chances to make sure that you do something with your limited resources that really catches the attention of the market. Those are my thoughts on Colin Kaepernick. Do we have any other comments? What's the general public saying about Colin Kaepernick? Have you seen any chatter about that out there?
I have actually, Ed. When you get into AI and you get into art, it's very sticky territory. So a lot of people were very upset. There were extra articles written about him talking about how Colin Kaepernick has come under fire again, and this time not for taking a knee during football. People are more or less kind of making this same argument. It's a lot of artists saying that in the long term, this is going to hurt us as artists because it's powered by AI and it's stealing from artists in essence, even though they may have control of the narrative, or that is Kaepernick's main goal here. How is it going to stay within the artist's control?
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking for someone to create a startup that helps artists and AI work together. I think that would be extremely fascinating. We have one founder here at Startups.com right now that I am urging to explore that possibility. He's creating a really unique marketplace between freelancers and stock photography. I really appreciate his approach, but I'm saying, you know, it'd be really great is if you brought in AI artists into it and you created a marketplace for them instead of, oh, we can do it ourselves. Because what we're learning is that not every company can use AI to create images. They're not good at it because they don't know how to prompt. And artists have the vocabulary to be able to prompt. But there are two things that are going to happen. Let's explore this for just one moment. Let's explore the implications of what Colin Kaepernick is doing. And this is completely a hearsay. I haven't researched this article. I'm just shooting from the hip. Feel free to flame me in the comments. No problem. I'm open for discussion. Soft heart, thick skin. I'm a big boy. I can take it. But one of two things is going to occur. Either Colin Kaepernick is going to take jobs away, or these AI tools are going to take jobs away from marginalized people, because I know some fantastic artists who grew up and they're poverty, and they put their lives into art and some amazing creations. I've known cartoonists who've done that, and I think they deserve an equal chance to get in the limelight. That's the reason I love what Instagram does. I follow nothing but comic book artists and artists on Instagram. Don't follow anybody else because it's inspiring for things that I'm working on. He's either going to eliminate anybody from being able to rise above their circumstances and enter into comic books and to become a creator, or he's going to give an opportunity for marginalized people who want to tell stories another medium to create, which would create a big market, but then squeeze out all the people who could draw on their own. Let's say you've got somebody who is impoverished, living in the inner city, and is amazingly creative and hasn't been able to get attention, goes out and uses this tool and creates this amazing comic book that suddenly takes off on TikTok or Instagram. That would be an interesting proposition. I don't know if that's going to happen, but this is how I approach everything. Someone gives me an idea, I go, okay, I know nothing. I could be completely wrong. Let's look at the possibilities. Let's look at some best practices. That's how I approach ideas like this. But it's an interesting conversation. And what I do appreciate is that we have more founders that are minority founders getting attention right now. It's nowhere near where it needs to be, but I think that so many other founders, that international founders, founders that are not from Silicon Valley, don't follow that same sort of familiarity or recency bias in the marketplace. I think that all of you out there watching this, listening, have so many insights into your markets, into the demographics. You have founder market fit better than I ever could because I haven't walked in your shoes. And I think that's very important. I think to myself, Q and I, we have these massively contentious conversations. We debate a lot about what it's like to be a Black artist, a biracial artist, to be a minority artist. What is the industry like? And I just
women, don't forget.
Women, I never going to forget that. But I want to learn because I'm a founder. And if what Q says gives me an insight into a problem that nobody wants to solve, that's when I get excited. Because I think to myself, ooh, there's a market opportunity that nobody's looking at. And if someone like you can educate me, guess what? I'm getting domain expertise and I'm starting to understand the problem and the users, and I've got a better chance. I just do that naturally. And I think everybody needs to do that in startup land. I think that's a great way to approach it. So I'd encourage all of you,